how do you say that? Let's nip it in the bud. Let's get rid of this kid before he's able to do anything. All right? Well, in the wisdom of God, Joseph Smith had his vision, and then there was nothing new for a few years. Okay? And which was to protect him. I mean, as long as he's not having any new visions or anything like that, the Jesuits kind of forgot about him a little bit. And so then Joseph Smith had a visitation of an angel. Joseph Smith, according to his own record, he says that he repented of his sins, received forgiveness of his sins. Now, anybody that knows the Christian religion knows that that is the process of being born again. Joseph Smith was born again of God at the age of 17 years of age, and he expected to receive some kind of manifestation of his position with God. And he had a visitation of an angel. An angel told him about a book that was written on gold leaf, and that he would be given the gift and the power of God to translate the book. It was another 4 years before he was able to receive the book, and I don't want to get into the details. You can read the details in the history of the LDS Church. But he received the book to translate, and he translated it, and it became the what is commonly called the Book of Mormon. Okay. Now, as soon as the Jesuits found out about these gold plates, they tried to get him away from Joseph Smith. They tried everything they could to steal the book from Joseph Smith. There is an event in church history that talks about how Joseph Smith had translated 116 pages of the Book of Mormon, and Martin Harris took those 116 pages to show a few friends, and then they got lost. They got stolen. Who stole the 116 pages of manuscript? The Jesuits did. The Jesuits did, and they altered the words, and they were going to expose Joseph Smith as a fraud, because if he attempted to translate the same words again, the two records would not agree, and they would say he's not a prophet because they don't agree. Okay. Now, some of the things that the Jesuits also did is that they invented stories about Joseph Smith. They invented stories and they even got affidavits. They got people. They went out and actually got people to sign affidavits saying that Joseph Smith was a money digger, and that he used a peep stone to translate the Book of Mormon, which never happened. Joseph Smith used what's called the Urim and Thummim only long enough until he could read the language, and as soon as he could read the language, he didn't even use that anymore. Joseph Smith learned how to read the ancient record within just a matter of a few short weeks. He was a very intelligent man, very highly gifted, and after a very short time, he was able to translate. He was able to read the words and translated it almost simultaneously as he was reading it. Okay, so anybody that's accusing him of translating the Book of Mormon using a peep stone, that is a fabrication by the Jesuits. Okay, their persecution of Joseph Smith, he was whenever there was a mob organized to persecute Joseph Smith, the mob was organized by Jesuits. And you got to know that, because that's what they do. That's, whenever there was, whenever things heated up against Joseph Smith, they were there ahead of it, ahead of the mobs. They were there ahead of the persecution, and they would they may not have been personally involved in it in many cases, but they put other people up to it, and they would pay them to do it. And one of Joseph Smith's biggest complaint was all the lies and rumors about him throughout his life. Okay. The Jesuits were finally successful in persecuting Joseph Smith to death. And I did want to mention something about Joseph Smith's polygamy. Yes, Joseph Smith did live polygamy. And there were women that testified that they were Joseph Smith's wives, even though they were married to other men. Fabrications by the Jesuits. They paid women to say that. They paid women to write up affidavits saying that Joseph Smith was married to them, even though they were married to other men. They got women to also come forward that were underage at the time to also sign affidavits that Joseph Smith married them while they were still underage. You know, and like I say, Joseph Smith, one of his biggest complaints was the lies and rumors that were being spread about him to discredit him, about being money digger and this blah 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 and all these other things. Fabrications by the Jesuits. The Jesuits were writing fake histories of the church. They were getting fake affidavits by the church. I recently heard about a Lucy manuscript that was supposedly Joseph Smith's mother that was dictating the rise of the church to some woman. Fabrication of the Jesuits. But anyway, so there's a big pile of historical documents fabricated at that point in time by the Jesuits. Okay? And it never went away. Joseph Smith was killed, and all those lies and rumors about him didn't die. Wow. They never died. Okay. So, at the same time that Joseph Smith is being persecuted violently by the Jesuits, the Illuminati has been infiltrating the church. Now, how does the Illuminati mark its territory? Now, if you have a graven image, you know that the Catholic Church owns and controls. But how do you know if the Illuminati has infiltrated an organization? Well, there's a little thing called the all-seeing eye. Now, supposedly it had been a symbol of the Masons, but if it was a symbol of the Masons, it got hijacked by the Illuminati. Anywhere where you see an Illuminati, all-seeing eye, the Illuminati's there. Where do you find an all-seeing eye? On the dollar bill. The Illuminati owns our money. Okay, but another place where you see the all-seeing eye is in the Mormon temples. Okay, the Illuminati Illuminati infiltrated the Mormon church since the very beginning. All right. Okay, so time has passed. Okay, and the Illuminati has slowly but surely been creeping up into the leadership of the church. Now, the way you know that somebody is Illuminati, as far as the church is, there was a time when, Joseph Smith said, except a man be called by prophecy and the laying on of hands. Well, when somebody comes and is made an apostle, coming highly recommended, rather than by revelation, the Illuminati was involved in it. Somehow the Illuminati was involved in it. They're the ones that are doing the highly recommending. Okay. There was a young man by the name of David O. McKay. He never talks about having been born again, but he does talk about having a very enlightening experience. At some point in time, I don't know exactly when it happened, but he had an enlightening experience, and that told him that he was going to become that he was going to be in church leadership, and his enlightening experience may even have told him that he was going to be president of the church. In any case, David O. McKay was an Illuminati recruit, and he became an Illuminati member. And he was helped by the other Illuminati that were in church leadership to be appointed to be an apostle. And all he had to do was wait for 14 other men ahead of him to die, and then he would be president of the church. The length of time that it took those other 14 men to die was not that long a period. Now, of course, a lot of those men were old already, and easily killed, easily removed out of the way because they were already old. They could die and no